Hi everybody, this is Kevin from The Kevin Lee Show, and today I'm going to be reading you my most recent blog offering, When Did Right Become Wrong? But before we go there, I just want to talk to you about something, and that something is my website, thekevinleeshow.com. I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that on my website you'll be able to find not only the most recent posts of my blogs, podcasts, and videos, but links to where they're all hosted elsewhere where you can find the entire catalog of all my work. As well as, of course, you can find my social links for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. So if you ever need any information or just want to stalk me, you know where to find me, thekevinleeshow.com. And now, time for When Did Right Become Wrong?
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it might be, wherever you may be.
Welcome to The Kevin Lee Show. First off, before half the country jumps down my throat, geez, what an ugly figure of speech that is. I want everyone to understand that I'm not saying that those on the right side of the aisle are wrong, just viewed as being wrong by those glaring at them from the far left. Besides, as any level-headed person understands, both sides are wrong. There, that should calm people down. But like I was saying, today many people everywhere from the far left to the moderate centrists perceive those on the right, and unfortunately anywhere on the right side spectrum, as being, how do you say, off the rocker? Untrustworthy? Narrow-minded? Hypocritical? Polarizing? Well, I suppose you get the idea. And, on a side note, I think it's safe to say that those terms can be used to describe any politician today, regardless of whichever side they sit on. Why? Why do those on the left have such disdain for their political rivals? Probably for the same reason that those on the right have such contempt for their arch nemesis. If you haven't already noticed, I kind of give you the answer there. Because our politicians and our political system is divided. Us versus them, left versus right versus wrong, helpful versus hateful. And again, I ask why? Because it works and they know it. People secretly love the division and vitriol, and these politicians, I use that term loosely here, fully understand that. Don't believe me? Just look at our world, anywhere in our world, and you'll see it. Advertising, merchandising, sports, newspapers, cable news, local news, blogs, vlogs, videos, commercials, marches, rallies, comment sections, corkboard postings. It's everywhere and virtually unavoidable. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible to find a positive example of any of the aforementioned sources, but I can all but assure you that for every single positive instance that you can produce, I can more than likely cite at least 10 negative examples. And that's kind of the whole point here. The sad thing is, though, that not only does it not have to be this way, at one time, and honestly not all that long ago, it wasn't this way. Today, somewhere around 80% of those on the left and on the right live towards the fringes of their party, and only a mere 20% or so reside adjacent to the center. We call these people moderates. But, like I said, not all that long ago, those numbers were reversed. 20% of people were on the fringe and 80% would be considered moderate today. And this was as recent as the 1980s or early 1990s. Then, something happened. Marketeers and politicians alike got smarter and boundlessly more conniving. Everyone knows the old adage, sex sells, but now we are learning that hate sells even more. And sure, sex is still a powerful angle, but we're learning day by day that it can't hold a candle to the authoritative death grip of enmity and rancor. The taste not only addictive but so ephemeral that a high lasts but for mere moments, leaving the user desperately seeking out their next hit. At one point in time, we were on a weekly news cycle. Then it became a daily news cycle. Then that cycle became a 24-hour news cycle. And though we are still on a 24-hour cycle, that cycle now turns over 24 times in that 24 hours. Nearly every hour on either cable news, networks, or websites, the headline changes every single hour. So, is there really that much going on in our world? Or are they just trying to keep us hooked and watching nonstop? I think the answer is pretty clear. So, back to the original point. When did right become wrong? It didn't. It hasn't. But you couldn't tell that if you've ever turned on your TV or opened your web browser. And that's because that is what they, the proverbial they, want you to think. But it isn't necessarily because they actually dislike what's being portrayed or talked about on the other side, but rather because they want you to think that way so that they can sell you their product, physical, intellectual, or otherwise, to you. They need you to tune into their message, and for that, they'll sink to any level to accomplish their goal. Don't be fooled. Don't be their tool. You're better than that. I know you are. We all are. And I know that it's so tempting to take a bite of their forbidden fruit because it looks so tasty, desirable to make one wise. Don't fall into their trap. With all this said, that isn't to say that you can't view the people sitting across the aisle from you as being different. Because they are. And that's okay. Each of us are entitled to our own opinions. It is up to each of us to decide for ourselves what we stand for, what we'll fight for, and what we want. So, of course, I'm not saying that you should not voice your opinion. What I am saying is that maybe, just maybe, next time before you type those keys in, or open your mouth to attack one of them, the enemy, maybe you should take a moment to think things through. Because though they might have a different point of view than you, it doesn't mean that you can't at least try to talk things out. Thanks for reading and listening. Kevin. So, there you have it, another one in the books. I hope that you enjoyed listening, and remember that you can always go ahead and read these or listen to them either on my website or through iTunes or through medium.com at Kevin from The Kevin Lee Show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you guys soon.